Some stories aren't whispered around campfires. They're whispered in trauma rooms, interrogation files, or never spoken at all, because they really happened. Not in haunted mansions or cursed villages, but in living rooms, grocery stores, quiet neighborhoods, where real people saw things they'll never forget and wish they could. Tonight, you're about to hear 17 chilling true horror stories. Not legends, not rumors, but accounts that left behind scars, police reports, or silence. These stories won't comfort you. They won't explain everything. They might just keep you awake long after the video ends. So if you've ever felt a strange presence with no one there, if you've ever known something was wrong but couldn't prove it, you're not alone. And after this video, you may never sleep the same way again. The air felt heavy that summer, as if the world held its breath, waiting for something to unravel. My parents, newly retired, poured their dreams into a half-built house, a skeleton of beams and promises. They were relentless, sketching blueprints. Late into the night, their laughter echoing through our old home. But dreams take time, and their house lagged, a puzzle missing too many pieces. When July came, they'd already booked a cruise, a non-refundable escape to celebrate their freedom. "Janie," Mom said, her voice soft but firm, "keep an eye on the house. Make sure it's safe." I nodded, though unease coiled in my gut. Feel the weight of that promise like a stone sinking into dark water. The construction site was miles away, a place I barely knew, yet I was tethered to it. For the first 2 days, I cruised by in my car, catching glimpses of workers hammering under the sun. Everything seemed fine. Too fine, maybe. On the third day, something shifted. You know that feeling, don't you? When the ordinary starts to crack and you sense something lurking just beneath. I parked, my heart ticking like a metronome, and stepped into a world that felt less like home and more like a stage for secrets. The street was quiet, save for the rhythmic scrape of a paintbrush against wood. A worker stood by the shutters, his eyes shadowed under a worn cap. His gaze met mine, and for a moment the world seemed to pause like a film stuck on a single frame. "I'm Janie," I said, extending a hand. "My parents own this place." His handshake was cold, his expression sour, as if my presence was a trespass. "Look around if you want," he muttered, "but don't go to the basement, it's not done." Listen to that warning, my mind whispered, but curiosity burned brighter. I promised I'd stay away, yet my feet carried me toward the house. The exterior gleamed, almost too perfect, but inside the air was stale, thick with dust and secrets. The living room and kitchen sparkled, a facade of normalcy. But you feel it, don't you? That pull toward the forbidden. Alone, I crept toward the basement door, its handle cold as ice. Each step down felt like descending into a dream, the darkness swallowing me whole. I fumbled for the light switch, my breath shallow, and when it flicked on, the room revealed, a nightmare woven into reality. Chains dangled from the ceiling, glinting faintly. A swing swayed as if touched by an unseen hand. A circular bed spun slowly on a platform, and shelves brimmed with grotesque toys. Worst of all, sprawled face down on a bench, was a lifelike doll. Too lifelike, its limbs unnaturally still. My mind screamed, but my body froze, trapped in the surreal horror of that room. This wasn't a basement. It was a shrine to depravity, a secret my parents had buried beneath their smiles. Imagine discovering the people you love are strangers. I stumbled back, nausea clawing at my throat, and fled upstairs, the image of that doll seared into my mind. Outside, the worker's eyes locked onto mine. "You went down there, didn't you?" His voice was low, accusing, as if I'd unearthed a sin not meant for me. I forced a smile, my lips trembling. No, I saw nothing. He stared, his gaze peeling away my lie, then turned back to his work without a word. My phone buzzed, shattering the silence. My parents. Answer it, my instincts urged. Everything's fine, I lied. But Mom's voice cut through. Janie, what's wrong? Her tone unraveled me. I saw your dungeon, I blurted, my voice cracking. Silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Dad's voice came hesitant. Is it finished? Yes, I said, the swing, the shelves, the doll. Mom's reply was a whisper that chilled my blood. Honey, we don't have a doll. My heart plummeted. I described the figure, muscular blonde hair, and Mom gasped. Janie. That's Gus, our contractor. But Gus was outside, painting. His face nothing like the body below. Truth hit like a blade. The man outside was a lie. Reality twisted, the world tilting into a nightmare I couldn't wake from. The man outside wasn't Gus. He was a predator wearing a stolen name. I glanced at him through my car window, his brush moving methodically, but his eyes flicked to me, cold and calculating. Run, my mind screamed. But my parents were still on the phone. Call the police, Mom urged, her voice trembling. I stepped out, heart hammering, and approached him. Hey, I'm talking to my parents. What's your name? His brush fell, his facade cracking. I'm Gus, he said. But Mom's scream through the phone betrayed him. That's not Gus's voice. He lunged, snatching my phone and smashing it against the wall. I shoved him, his body stumbling, and sprinted into the house, locking the door. He's coming, the thought pulsed. I raced to the basement, the irony bitter. I was hiding in the very place that birthed this terror. I locked the door, crouching. Behind the swing, the real Gus's body still sprawled nearby, its stench now unmistakable. The doorknob rattled, keys jingled. He was here. Stay still, I told myself as his shadow loomed on the stairs. He descended, a plank of wood in hand, his voice a venomous hiss. I told you not to come down here. My body shook, but instinct took over. I shoved the swing, its chain slamming, into him, sending him crashing onto the stairs. Move now, my mind roared. I leaped over his writhing form, heart in my throat, and grabbed the keys he'd left in the door. With a twist, I locked him inside, his muffled curses echoing. I stumbled, crossed the street, dialing 911 from a neighbor's phone. Police swarmed, dragging the imposter away, his identity still a mystery. They found Gus's body, a grim confirmation of the horror. My parents return tomorrow, I thought, staring at the house. Its dungeon, their secret, loomed in my mind, a wound that wouldn't heal. Some truths are better left buried, but I'd already dug too deep. The mirror in the hotel bathroom fogged with my breath, but I could still see my grin, wide, untamed, the kind you wear when you've clawed your way to the top. In December 1984, I, Mark Thorpe, stood on the edge of greatness, salesman of the we. Here the words echoed in my skull like a chant, each syllable a pulse of triumph. I'd sold more cars than anyone at the dealership, turned skeptics into buyers with a smile and a handshake. The nomination was mine, and tomorrow, at the ceremony in Michigan, I'd claim my crown. But as I sang off-key in that steamy bathroom, a shadow flickered in the corner of my eye, a fleeting blur gone before I could focus. I laughed it off, blaming exhaustion. 48 hours without sleep will make anyone see things. Yet, deep in my gut, something stirred, a whisper of unease that felt older than the moment. The hotel room was a cocoon of luxury, all velvet drapes and polished wood. But it felt too quiet, too still. I sprawled on the bed, the sheets cool against my skin, and let my mind drift to the ceremony. Callum, my boss, had sent a message. Proud of you, Mark. You're a legend. I pictured the crowd, their applause thundering like a storm, my name on every tongue. I'd read about past winners, Albert Richardson Hall, icons whose careers soared after this award. That was my future, wasn't it? Close your eyes, Mark, and see it. The spotlight, the trophy, the life you've earned. But the room's silence, pressed against me heavy like a hand on my chest. The air smelled faintly of wax and something metallic, sharp, like blood. I shook it off and tried to sleep, but my pulse wouldn't slow. Hours later, in the dead of night, a sound tore me from a shallow dream. Knock, knock, knock. It wasn't a polite tap, but a frantic, jagged rhythm, like someone hammering a warning. My eyes snapped open, heart slamming against my ribs. The room was a void of shadows, the only light a sliver from the street lamp sneaking through the curtains. Who's out there? I sat up, the bed creaking beneath me, and stared at the door. The knocking stopped, then started again, louder, more desperate. Don't open it, Mark. Stay still. But curiosity or stupidity pulled me to my feet. The carpet was cold under my bare soles, each step amplifying the thud of my heart. I reached the door, my hand hovering over the lock. What if it's an emergency? What if someone needs you? I turned the handle and the door yawned open into darkness. He stood there, a silhouette carved from the hallway's dim glow. A long brown coat hung off his gaunt frame, its hem brushing the floor. His shirt gleamed unnaturally white, a golden chain glinting from his pocket. His face, God, his face, was a mask of ash, eyes sunken into black hollows, the skin beneath, swollen and bruised. He looked like a man who'd forgotten how to live. Mark Thorpe? His voice was low, jagged like broken glass. I nodded, throat tight, unable to speak. He smiled, a fleeting, hollow thing that vanished as quickly as it came. Run, Mark. Slam the door. But I stood frozen, pinned by his gaze. His hand moved to his coat, slow, deliberate, and then I saw it. A knife, its blade catching the light like a cruel promise. The world slowed. This isn't real. This is a dream. The knife plunged toward me and pain erupted, sharp and searing as it sliced into my shoulder. I staggered back, blood warm against my skin, soaking my shirt. He struck again, the blade grazing my arm, and I fell, the room spinning. Why is this happening? His eyes burned with something beyond rage, grief, raw and unending. Your kind took her from me. He spat, his voice trembling. You sold her that car, Mark. Told her it was safe. She trusted you. I tried to speak, to deny it, but blood filled my mouth, choking my words. He loomed over me, the knife dripping red. You're going to die here, alone, in this room. His words came in fragments, each one a shard of his broken world. 3 years ago, his wife died in a crash, pregnant. The car I'd sold her, faulty brakes, he said. I remembered her vaguely, a woman with kind eyes, signing papers with a smile. Was it my fault? I'd never known about the brakes. I'd trusted the mechanics. But he didn't care. 23, he said, his voice hollow. That's how many of you I've killed, all begging, all pathetic. He raised the knife again and I saw my life in flashes. My daughter's laugh, my parents' pride, the trophy I'd never hold. Fight, Mark. Don't let it end like this. Then, a shift. He's not looking at you. His hand dropped, the knife, clattering to the floor. He reached into his coat again and my heart stopped. A gun. Its barrel gleamed, cold and final. This is it. But he didn't aim at me. He pressed it to his own temple, his eyes locked on mine. She's gone, he whispered, a tear cutting through the dirt on his cheek. And I'm done. The shot was deafening, a thunderclap that shattered the room. His body crumpled, blood pooling on the carpet, and the world went black. I woke to voices, soft and urgent. My family was there, their faces blurred through my tears. The hotel staff had heard the shot, called the police. I was alive, stitched and bandaged, but not whole. "You survived, Mark, but at what cost?" The man's face haunted me, his pain, his rage, his final act. I saw it every time I closed my eyes. The police found no record of him, no name, no motive. Beyond his words, 23 others, he'd said, were they real? Were there more like him waiting in the shadows? You can't go back, Mark. Not to that life. I quit the dealership the next week, the award, the glory. It meant nothing now. Every car I'd sold felt like a trap, a potential death sentence. I moved my daughter to a new city, far from Michigan. But the fear followed. Is someone watching? Is another coming? The hotel room's metallic scent lingers in my nightmares, mixed with jasmine from my daughter's shampoo. I check the locks twice every night, my hands shaking. You're safe now, Mark. But for how long? The price of glory wasn't just blood, it was the part of me that died in that room, the part I'll never get back. The room was a blur of faces, laughter echoing like a distant dream. But one pair of eyes locked onto me, unblinking, as if they'd been waiting for me all these years. My name is Becky, and I never thought a high school reunion could unravel my life. 2 decades had passed since I last walked those locker-lined halls, since I was the girl everyone noticed, the one with the perfect smile, the perfect life. That night, under the dim glow of fairy lights strung across the banquet hall, I felt like a stranger in my own past. People drifted by, their faces familiar yet foreign, their names slipping through my fingers like sand. I was sipping cheap wine, forcing a smile when she appeared. Jane. Her voice cut through the haze, bright and sharp like a bell in a fog. "Becky, you don't remember me, do you?" Her words hung in the air, heavy with expectation. I froze, my mind scrambling. "Jane?" Her face was a shadow of someone I might have known, pale with wide eyes that seemed to swallow the light. Her smile was too eager, her hands twisting nervously at the hem of her dress. I didn't remember her, not even a flicker, but the hurt. Her eyes pinned me in place. "Don't let her see you falter, pretend." "Oh, Jane," I said, my voice syrupy with false warmth. "It's been forever." Her face lit up, relief washing over her like a tide. I felt a pang of guilt, but I pushed it down. Just get through this night. Little did I know, that moment would haunt. Fury, a single spark igniting a nightmare I couldn't escape. The reunion faded into a blur of small talk and forced laughter. But Jane lingered in my mind like a ghost. She'd been so thrilled, so desperate to reconnect, that I couldn't shake the unease creeping up my spine. Why did she care so much? By the time I got home, my phone buzzed with a notification, a friend request from Jane. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen. The glow of my phone felt too bright in the dark of my apartment, the silence too heavy. What's the harm? I accepted, and within minutes her first message arrived. "So good to see you, Becky. What's your life like now?" "Innocent enough," I replied, keeping it vague. Work, travel, the usual. But Jane didn't stop. Her messages came like a flood, relentless, each one more personal than the last. "Are you married? Do you have kids? Where do you live?" I stared at my phone, the screen a window into her obsession. This isn't normal. Days turned into weeks and Jane's messages piled up, a digital avalanche I couldn't outrun. She'd send photos of her life, her kids, her house, her husband, each caption laced with a strange longing, as if she wanted me to envy her. But it wasn't envy I felt. It was dread. Why me? I tried to be polite, responding sporadically, but every reply seemed to fuel her. She'd ask about my vacations, my home, my dreams, as if she were trying to crawl inside my skin. One night, I woke to my phone buzzing at 3 a.m. A message from Jane. "You're so lucky, Becky, you've always had everything." The words glowed in the dark, cold and accusing. My heart thudded, the air in my room suddenly too thick. She's watching me. She knows too much. I started to pull back, ignoring her messages, but they kept coming, a relentless tide eroding my peace. You can't escape her. A month in, I couldn't take it anymore. Her words had burrowed into me, each one a needle under my skin. I blocked her on Facebook, my finger trembling as I hit the button. The silence that followed was blissful, like waking from a bad dream. For a few days I felt free. My apartment, with its soft rugs and warm lights, was my sanctuary again. I could breathe, laugh, live without her shadow over me. You're safe now. But safety was an illusion, a fragile thing shattered by a single sound. That Saturday evening, the doorbell rang, sharp and jarring in the quiet of my home. I froze, my mug of tea slipping from my fingers, spilling across the counter. Who's here? I lived alone, 5 states away from anyone who dropped by unannounced. The air felt heavy, the kind of stillness that presses against your chest. I crept to the door, my bare feet cold against the hardwood, and peered through. The peephole. A woman stood there, her face half hidden by a black baseball cap. My stomach twisted. No, it can't be. She smiled, a slow, creeping grin that made my blood run cold. Jane. How did she find me? My mind raced, replaying every message, every careless detail I'd shared. I'd given her my address in a moment of weakness, thinking she was harmless, just a lonely woman clinging to a high school memory. Now she was here, her presence a violation of everything I held dear. You blocked me, Becky, she said, her voice low, almost playful. Why? I choked, my throat tight with panic. How did you get here? Why are you doing this? Her smile widened, but it didn't reach her eyes. You gave me your address, silly. The world tilted, reality blurring into a nightmare. Run, fight, do something. Before I could move, Jane lunged, her body crashing through the door like a predator claiming its prey. I hit the floor hard, pain exploding in my chest as she grabbed my hair, yanking my head back. A knife gleamed in her hand, its blade catching, the light like a cruel promise. Stay still, she hissed, pressing the cold metal against my throat. My breath came in shallow gasps, my body trembling as fear consumed me. This is it. This is how it ends. I babbled apologies, tears streaming down my face, but Jane's eyes were empty, devoid of mercy. You've been here before, haven't you? A memory flickered, unbidden. A story my mother once told me about a friend who trusted too easily, who let a stranger into her life and paid the price. I pushed it away, focusing on the blade, the pain, the terror. I'm sorry, I whispered, not knowing what I was sorry for, only that I needed to survive. Jane sighed, her grip loosening just enough for me to move. Now. I surged upward, my hands clawing at her face, but she was faster. The knife sliced across my cheek, a searing agony that stole my breath. Blood dripped onto my hands, warm and sticky as I collapsed, my vision swimming. Not so perfect anymore, huh, Becky? Jane's voice was a taunt, sharp and cruel. She loomed over me, her face twisted with a hatred I couldn't comprehend. You had everything I wanted, the perfect life, the perfect face. Now you'll carry this scar forever. Why? The word escaped me, weak and broken. Jane leaned closer, her breath hot against my skin. Because I hated you, Becky. In high school, you were everything I could never be. And now, you still have it all: vacations, a fancy home, no worries. You never saw me, never cared. Her words were a revelation, a twisted mirror reflecting a past I barely remembered. Was I that blind? I'd been popular, yes, but cruel. Never. Yet Jane's pain was real, her envy a poison that had festered for years. She stood wiping the knife on her pants, her eyes cold. Goodbye, Becky. Enjoy your life with that scar. She walked out, leaving me in a pool of my own blood, the door swinging shut behind her. I don't know how long I lay there, the pain in my face a throbbing reminder of my survival. Eventually, I crawled to my phone, my fingers slick with blood, as I dialed 911. The police came, their questions a blur. Jane was arrested days later, her crime undeniable, but the damage was done. The scar on my face is a permanent mark, a story etched in flesh. Every time I look in the mirror, I see her eyes, her hatred, her smile. My home, once a haven, feels like a trap, every shadow a threat. She's gone. But is she really? The world feels different now, darker, as if Jane's curse lingers, waiting to strike again. The desert stretched endlessly before me, a cruel expanse of sand and secrets, whispering that nothing here was as it seemed. Robert had planned this anniversary getaway with a fervor I'd never seen, his eyes alight with a promise of forever. Palm Springs, he said, just you and me in a place that'll steal your breath. I wasn't one for desserts. Give me crashing waves over sun-scorched dunes any day. But his excitement was infectious. Feel that spark of love, the kind that blinds you to the shadows creeping closer. The Airbnb was a ranch house, modest yet sprawling, its vast grounds dotted with cacti and a distant barn that seemed to watch us. Nadia, the host, greeted us with a warm smile, her long brown hair and raspy voice eerily mirroring mine. You see it, don't you? That flicker of something wrong. She led us through the house, her laughter too familiar, her glances at Robert too lingering. I brushed it off, telling myself it was nothing, but my heart whispered otherwise. Trust your instincts, it urged, as the desert air grew heavier, suffocating me with doubt. Suspicion coiled in my chest, a venomous thing that turned every glance into a betrayal. Nadia and Robert's conspiratorial looks during the tour gnawed me, their shared smiles too intimate for strangers. Do you know her? I asked Robert, my voice sharp. He laughed, insisting they'd only messaged through Airbnb. Believe him, my heart pleaded. But my mind saw lies in his eyes. I demanded his phone, craving proof, but he snapped, his refusal a blade to my trust. You feel it, don't you? That fracture in love's foundation. I swallowed my anger, unpacking. In silence, but Robert vanished from the bedroom. Through the living room window I saw them. Him and Nadia, heads close, words hushed, standing just off the porch. Listen closely, my instincts screamed. I crept to the window, crouching low, the desert's heat seeping through the glass. Their voices were murmurs, but fragments reached me. Tonight, barn, perfect. My blood ran cold, the world tilting into a haze of betrayal. I gripped the windowsill, my nails digging into wood, as jealousy painted visions of them together. Robert returned, his face unreadable, but I said nothing, letting the poison fester. Night fell, and with it my heart sank into a void of dread. I lay in bed, eyes closed, feigning sleep, but every nerve screamed with anticipation. Robert stirred, his movements deliberate, slipping out of bed like a thief. Follow him, my mind commanded. The front door closed softly, and I sprang up, peering. Through the window, his silhouette moved toward the barn, a beacon of light flickering within. You can't ignore this, my jealousy roared. I pulled on shoes, the desert air biting my skin, and stalked across the grass, each step heavier with rage. The barn glowed with Christmas lights, their warmth mocking my fury. Voices drifted out, Robert's, Nadia's, entwined with soft music. They're together, my mind hissed, painting them in a lover's embrace. I stormed toward the half-open barn door, my presence a thunderclap. Nadia emerged, her smile fading. You were supposed to be asleep, she stammered, her eyes wide. Are you with my boyfriend? I demanded, my voice a blade. She denied it, but her refusal to explain fueled my fire. Push harder, my anger urged. I shoved her and she fell, dirt clinging to her. She retaliated, her elbow slamming into me. And we became a tangle of fury, clawing, biting, lost in a primal dance of hate. Our fight was a storm, raw and unforgiving, tearing through the veil of civility. Nadia's nails raked my arm, her teeth sinking into my shoulder. But my rage burned hotter. End this, my fury demanded. I tripped her, her body hitting the ground, and as she rose to kick me, I grabbed her foot, twisting hard. Time slowed. The world a surreal painting of light and shadow. Her body fell, her head striking a tree stump with a sickening crunch. Blood poured from her eyes, her tongue lolling, lifeless. She's dead, my mind screamed, the horror clawing at my soul. Robert emerged, his gasp echoing in the silence. He saw Nadia's body and froze, his breath ragged. It wasn't my fault, I pleaded, my voice trembling. We fought. She fell. His eyes, once warm, now judged me, a stranger in the man I loved. Why were you fighting? He asked, his voice hollow. I thought you were with her, I confessed, the truth a bitter poison. Robert's shock melted into something colder, his eyes piercing through me. You misunderstood, he said, leading me into the barn. The sight stole my breath. Christmas lights woven like stars, a scene crafted for love, not betrayal. Nadia was helping me plan this, he said, dropping to one knee. Will you marry me? My heart shattered, guilt and love colliding. Say yes, my soul whispered, despite the blood on my hands. Yes, I choked, and I'll help bury her. We embraced, the lights casting shadows over our sin. We buried Nadia that night, her body vanishing into the desert's embrace. 5 years later, we're married, but her ghost lingers in every silence. Some secrets bind you forever, and ours is a grave we'll never escape. The hostel's fluorescent lights flickered like a dying pulse, casting jagged shadows across the peeling walls. I'd always chased adventure, diving into the unknown with a reckless grin. But that night, in a small-town self-service hostel, something felt wrong. I, a solo traveler new to this life, had chosen this place for its cheap rates and glowing reviews. Step inside, feel the freedom, I'd told myself, dragging my suitcase through the door. But the air was thick, heavy with damp, and a faint sourness, like old secrets trapped in the wood. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was a predator, watching, waiting. Why does it feel like I'm not alone? The common area was a relic, its sagging couch stained with years of forgotten stories. I paused, my boots scuffing the warped floorboards, and that's when I saw him. A middle-aged man, shirtless, sprawled across the couch like he owned the shadows. His bloodshot eyes locked onto mine, unblinking, piercing through the dim light. Don't look away, he's reading you. I forced a nod, polite but quick, and hurried to my room, the smell of stale alcohol trailing me like a ghost. His gaze clung to my back, heavy, invasive, as if he could see through my skin. Just a drunk. Nothing more, but my hands trembled as I fumbled with the key, the lock resisting like it knew I shouldn't stay. My room was a narrow cell, the bed creaking under my weight, the walls paper thin. I tried to sleep, but the man's face haunted me. Those eyes. Too sharp, too hungry. What does he want? I'd heard whispers about this hostel, tales swapped by travelers in smoky bars. A guest who vanished years ago, their bag left behind, untouched. I'd laughed it off then, called it folklore. Now, in the dark, it felt too real. Close your eyes. It's just a story. But every creak of the building, every gust against the window, sounded like footsteps circling closer. I lay still, heart pounding, until dawn bled through the curtains, pale and cold. Morning brought a new face. Anya, a woman my age from Sweden, her smile warm like sunlight on frost. We traded small talk over coffee, her laughter easing the knot. In my chest, "You're not alone anymore." But the man was still there, lurking in the common area, his eyes tracking us like a hunter. He didn't speak, didn't move, just watched, his presence a stain on the room. Ignore him, he's harmless. Anya seemed unbothered, but I couldn't shake the chill, the sense that his silence was a warning. The day dragged on, the hostel's walls closing in, the air growing heavier, like a storm brewing inside. Night fell and the hostel transformed. The lights dimmed, casting long, twisted shadows that seemed to writhe. Anya had gone to bed early, leaving me alone with my laptop. The screen's glow a frail shield against the dark. "Keep working, don't look up." But the air shifted, a cold draft brushing my neck. I glanced up and there he was, inches away, his phone thrust toward me. The screen showed a garbled note. "Talk downstairs." Away from Anya. My pulse spiked, drumbeat of panic. "Don't go, stay here." His breath reeked of liquor, his eyes glinting with something desperate, something wrong. "Just talk," he slurred, his voice thick, syrupy. "Run. Get out now." I followed him downstairs, each step a descent into a nightmare. The common area was a void, the shadows pooling like ink. He gestured to a chair, but I stayed standing, my back pressed against the wall, ready to bolt. What does he want? He rambled about the internet, offering a better connection for my work, but his words were hollow, a mask for something darker. His eyes kept darting to the stairs to where Anya slept, unaware. "He's not here for you." The realization hit like ice water. "What do you really want?" I snapped, my voice sharp, cutting through his lies. He froze, his face twisting, and then he admitted it. He wanted me gone so he could be alone with Anya. "She's in danger. You have to save her." Panic surged, a tidal wave drowning my thoughts. I turned and ran, my boots pounding the stairs, the hostel's walls blurring around me. "Get to Anya, now." I burst into our room, shaking her awake, my voice trembling as I spilled the truth. "We need to leave," I urged, shoving my things into my bag. Her eyes widened, fear mirroring mine. The man's voice echoed from below, shouting that it was a mistake, but his words were empty, laced with menace. "He's coming, move faster." We grabbed our bags, the hostel's shadows clawing at us as we fled into the night. His pleas faded behind us, swallowed by the cold air. We found a small hotel blocks away, its neon sign a beacon of safety. My hands shook as I locked the door, the man's eyes still burning in my mind. "You escaped, but did you really?" The next morning, I reported the incident to the hostel's management, my words spilling out in a rush. They promised to investigate, but their voices were distant, hollow. I left a review online, a warning etched in digital ink. "Stay away. Something's wrong here." For days, every shadow felt like a threat, every stranger a predator. The carefree spark of solo travel dimmed, replaced by a vigilance I couldn't shake. Trust your instincts. They saved you. But something else grew from that night. Anya and I, bound by fear, became friends. We traveled together, her laughter a light in the key. Dark, you're stronger now. The hostel's shadows still linger in my dreams, the man's eyes watching from corners I can't see. But with Anya by my side, the world feels less like a trap. Keep moving. Not every story ends in horror. Yet, as I walk new streets, I check over my shoulder, the hostel's sour air still clinging to my skin, a reminder that danger waits in the quietest places. The air was heavy with the scent of damp wood, and the shadows in that old Victorian house seemed to whisper my name as I stepped inside. I'd been desperate when I found the listing, a sprawling, elegant home at half the rent I'd paid elsewhere. It was too good to be true, but desperation blinds you to red flags. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what I found in that house, what I barely escaped. The moment I crossed the threshold, the air shifted, thick and oppressive, like the walls were holding their breath. The floorboards groaned under my weight, each step echoing in the cavernous foyer. I dragged my suitcase through the dim hallway, the chandelier above flickering as if unsure whether to welcome me or warn me away. This is your new start. Don't look back. But then I saw it, a scrap of paper on my nightstand, its edges yellowed. The words scrawled in jagged ink. Keep your door locked at all times. If someone knocks, do not answer. The note sent a chill down my spine, its warning sinking into me like a stone in dark water. Who left this? I turned it over, searching for a clue, but found nothing. The room was bare except for a sagging bed and the dresser that smelled of mildew. I tossed the note into the trash, convincing myself it was a prank, a relic from a previous tenant with a twisted sense of humor. You're imagining things. But the house didn't feel empty, it felt alive, its silence a predator waiting to pounce. That first night I lay awake, the darkness pressing against my eyelids, every creak of the house amplified in my mind. Was that a footstep? A breath? Lock the door. Check it again. I did, my fingers trembling as I tested the bolt, the metal, cold and unyielding. Days passed and the house's strangeness grew. The corners were damp, the air heavy with a musty scent that clung to my clothes. I met the first tenant while hauling groceries through the front door, my arms aching under the weight of bags. He was an older man, his gray hair wild, his eyes darting like a hunted animal's. "Did you get the note?" he asked, his voice low and urgent, as if the walls were listening. I nodded, startled by his intensity. "You read it, right? You have to follow the rules." His words were a command etched with fear. "Don't ask, just agree." "Yeah, I saw it," I said, forcing a smile. He stared at me, his gaze piercing, then turned and vanished up the stairs, leaving me with a knot in my chest. What does he know? The second tenant was even stranger. I caught a glimpse of her as I climbed to my room, her door ajar just enough to reveal a pale face peering through the gap. Her eyes met mine, wide and unblinking, before the door slammed shut, the lock clicking like a gunshot. The air carried a faint, sour smell, like something rotting behind her door. Who are these people? I hurried to my room, my heart pounding, the note's warning echoing in my mind. Do not answer. I checked my lock again, the ritual becoming a lifeline. The fridge told its own story. Mine was the only shelf with food, the others holding nothing but a jar of pickles or empty space. Are they even real? The house felt like a trap, its beauty a mask for something sinister. The true horror came a week later, in the dead of night. I woke to a sound that clawed at my nerves, a sharp, insistent knocking on my door. My eyes snapped, open, the darkness thick and suffocating. Who's there? The knocks grew louder, frantic, each one a hammer against my resolve. I sat up, my breath shallow, my body frozen. Don't move. Don't make a sound. The note's words burned in my memory, a lifeline in the chaos. I slid out of bed, my bare feet cold against the floor, and crept toward the door. Just call out. See who it is. Who's there? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The knocking stopped, the silence heavier than before. Then the handle turned, slow and deliberate, as if testing my defenses. Panic surged through me, my heart a wild drum. In my chest. Did I lock it? I couldn't remember, the fog of sleep clouding my mind. I lunged for the handle, gripping it tightly, twisting it against the intruder's force. Hold it. Don't let go. The pressure eased, but I heard a sound. A low, rasping breath. So close it felt like it was inside the room. They're right there. My knees buckled, but I held firm, my hands shaking as I slid the lock into place. The footsteps retreated, soft and deliberate, fading into the house's endless corridors. They're gone. Or are they? I pressed my ear to the door, the wood cold against my skin, but heard nothing. Sleep was impossible, the night stretching into an eternity of dread. Morning brought no relief. The old man was in the kitchen, eating, pickles from a jar, his eyes locking onto mine. They visited you last night, didn't they? He said, his voice a mix of pity and warning. I froze, the memory of the knocking flooding back. Who was it? I asked, my voice trembling. He smiled, a crooked, knowing grin. Nobody knows, but the last tenant who let them in. They vanished. Thomas Engel, never seen again. Thomas Engel. The name hit me like a punch, a ghost given form. I stumbled back, the kitchen spinning. What is this place? I couldn't stay. I spent the day scouring the internet, my fingers shaking as I typed the house's address. An article appeared. Cold and damning. Thomas Engel missing, last seen at this very address. No body, no answers. He broke the rules. The old man's words, the note, the knocking, it all clicked into place. This wasn't a house, it was a predator, luring the desperate with cheap rent and spitting out bones. Get out. Now. I packed my bags, my movements frantic, the air thick, with unseen eyes. The old man watched me leave, his silence louder than words. A friend offered me a couch, a temporary haven, but the house's shadow followed me. What was behind that door? I'll never know, and maybe that's for the best. But at night, when the world is quiet, I still hear it. The faint, insistent knock calling me back. The mountain loomed like a silent judge, its snow-draped peaks hiding truths no one dared to speak. Last December, Jake whisked me away to his family's cabin, a winter escape he promised would be magical. I'd grown up in the desert where snow was a myth, so the idea of a white Christmas with my fiancé felt like stepping into a dream. Feel that thrill, the kind that makes your heart race with possibility. The cabin was no rustic hideaway. It was a modern palace carved into the mountainside with glass walls, a sauna, and a zip line frozen in disuse. Jake downplayed it, calling it shabby because of patchy snow, but its opulence stunned me. You see it, don't you? That perfection masking something wrong. He carried our bags upstairs, avoiding the master bedroom reserved for his brother, Martin, a mysterious figure I'd never met. Family stories painted Martin as eccentric, a wanderer chasing thrills across continents. Trust that unease, my instincts whispered, as the cabin's warmth clashed with a chill I couldn't shake, like eyes watching from the shadows. The snow crunched beneath my boots, each step pulling me deeper into Jake's world. After unpacking, he insisted on a tour of the property, 4 acres of wilderness that felt both vast and suffocating. Walk with him, my heart urged, craving closeness, but the cold bit my skin and my shoes weren't made for this. Jake's enthusiasm carried us through pine groves and frozen streams, his voice warm as he pointed out childhood haunts. You feel it, don't you? That innocence about to shatter. At the property's highest point, he stopped before a towering treehouse. Its wooden, planks weathered but sturdy. My favorite place, he said, eyes gleaming. Climb up, he beckoned, starting up the ladder, but halfway he froze, his face paling. Something's wrong, my mind screamed. Never mind, it's cold, he muttered, jumping down and hurrying back toward the cabin. His haste was a mask hiding a truth I wasn't meant to see. I followed, questions burning, but his silence was a wall, and the treehouse loomed behind us, its shadow stretching like a warning. Night wrapped the mountain in darkness, turning the cabin into a fragile sanctuary. Jake slept soundly, but I couldn't rest, the treehouse haunting my thoughts. Go now, my curiosity demanded. I slipped on boots and a jacket, the cold air slicing my lungs as I trudged through snow, my phone's flashlight a feeble shield. You're close, my instincts whispered. The treehouse stood silent, its ladder swaying in the wind. I climbed, each rung creaking, until I peered over the edge. The world stopped, reality twisting into a nightmare. A trough gaped below, half buried in snow, filled with limbs. Arms, torsos, skulls, some frozen, some skeletal. This is death's garden, my mind screamed, nausea rising. I slipped, falling backward, but strong arms caught me. Jake, his face, was a mask, unreadable, a stranger in the man I loved. I can explain, he said, his voice low, but the hollowness in his eyes betrayed a truth far darker than I could bear. Jake's words hung like a noose, tightening around my heart. Are you a killer? I asked, my voice trembling, the whole of corpses burning in my mind. No, he said, his eyes flickering with shame. Listen closely, he seemed to plead, guiding me back to the cabin, the snow swallowing our footsteps. Inside, he confessed. His brother Martin was a serial killer, a secret his family buried for years. Imagine loving someone tainted by such evil. We ignored it, Jake said, thinking the snow would hide his sins. His words were a blade slicing through my trust. I wanted to call the police, but Jake grabbed my phone. Talk to Martin first, he begged, his desperation a warning. He ran to Martin's bedroom and I followed, heart pounding. The door opened and reality shattered. Jake emerged, wearing a curly wig and a mismatched suit, his voice dropping low. I'm Martin, he said, grinning. He's not real, my mind screamed as he rambled about his hobby, killing. Run, my instincts roared, as his unhinged gaze locked onto me, a predator playing a twisted game. Jake's performance, was a descent into madness, his Martin voice a grotesque parody. He spoke of bodies, of family excuses, his wig slipping as he gestured wildly. You're not safe, my mind screamed, every word a step closer to danger. I inched toward the door, his ramblings a trance I fought to break. Move now, my instincts. I bolted, my boots skidding on the floor, and raced to the car, keys shaking in my hand. He's coming, I felt, glancing back at the cabin's glowing windows. I drove into the night, the mountain's shadow chasing me, its secrets clawing at my soul. 5 years later, that hole of death still haunts me. Some loves are graves, and Jake's was one I barely escaped, leaving behind a man who was both my fiancé and a monster. The scent of roasted turkey and cinnamon hung heavy in the air, promising warmth, but the house felt like a stage, its cheer a carefully rehearsed lie. My first Thanksgiving, a dream I'd cradled since my childhood in a strict foster home, was unfolding in the sprawling country estate of my boyfriend Troy's family. I, a shy college student who'd never known holiday gatherings, clung to the hope of belonging, step into their world, become one of them. But as I crossed the threshold, the polished wooden floors gleaming under chandelier light, a chill snaked through me. The house was too perfect, its smiles too practiced. Why does it feel like I'm walking into a trap? Barb and Victor, Troy's parents, greeted me with hugs that felt rehearsed, their eyes crinkling with warmth that didn't reach their souls. The farm was a vision, rolling fields, a red barn, a house dripping with wealth I hadn't expected. Troy never mentioned this. I glanced at him, his easy grin unchanged, but something flickered in his gaze, a shadow I couldn't name. His sister, Gemma, stood apart, her arms crossed, her stare sharp enough to cut glass. She hates you. Why? I tried to brush it off, focusing on Barb's tour of the house. Antique furniture, family portraits with frozen smiles, a kitchen buzzing with the clatter of pots. But Gemma's eyes followed me, a silent warning that tightened my chest. Barb asked about my past, her voice soft, probing. I couldn't lie. I told her of the foster home, the Jehovah's Witness rules that banned holidays, the loneliness that still clung to me. You're exposing yourself. Stop. She nodded, her empathy almost real, and I felt a flicker of connection. But Gemma's hostility lingered, a storm cloud in the room. After the tour, I found her on the patio clutching something in her hand. Your keys, she said, tossing them to me. I frowned, certain they'd been in my pocket. Did she take them? I thanked her, pocketing them, and tried to chat, but she squirmed, glancing around. Then, leaning close, she whispered, "You're not safe here." Her words were a blade, cold and sharp. But before I could ask why, Barb appeared, and Gemma fell silent, her face pale. The house felt smaller after that, its walls pressing in. I retreated to the guest bedroom, Troy's old room, plastered with horror movie posters, their grotesque faces leering from the walls. He loved this stuff as a kid? As I changed, Troy entered, his smile too bright. I told him about Gemma's warning, and his eyes flashed with anger, quickly masked. "I'll handle her," he said, storming out. What's he hiding? I opened the window, the patio below revealing their heated exchange. "I warned you not to say anything," Troy hissed. Gemma's voice trembled. "Don't hurt me." His reply was a whisper, but one word cut through. "Wellhouse. What's that?" My stomach twisted, a premonition of something vile. Dinner was a masquerade. Barb and Victor chatted as if nothing was wrong, their laughter hollow. Gemma stared at her plate, her hands shaking. Troy's eyes darted to her, a predator watching prey. He's afraid she'll speak. I forced myself to eat, the food tasteless, my mind racing. What did Gemma mean? After dinner, Gemma fled the room, her absence a scream in the silence. Troy suggested a walk around the farm, his voice too eager. "Say no, stay inside." But I nodded, fear warring with the need to understand. He led me past the barn, its animals stirring in the dark, to a field far from the house. "The well house," he said, his smile gone. "It's my favorite place. Great view." The night was heavy, the stars hidden by clouds. The well house loomed, a squat, weathered structure beside a deep trench, its edges jagged like a wound in the earth. "This is wrong. Get out." Troy's grip on my hand tightened, his face hard, unreadable. I pulled back, but he held firm. "What's this about Gemma?" I asked, my voice trembling. He froze, then snarled, "What else did she tell you?" "Bluff. Save yourself." "Everything," I lied. His face contorted, rage spilling out. Those other women deserved it, but you're different. Other women? My blood ran cold. He wasn't talking about lovers, he meant victims. He's going to kill you. The trench gaped before me, a grave waiting to swallow. He's done this before. I saw it in his eyes, the thrill of control, the hunger for my fear. You're alone. No one will miss you. My hand fumbled in my pocket, finding the keys and something else. A small canister clipped to the ring. Pepper spray. Gemma's face flashed in my mind. She'd given me a weapon. She knew. Troy shoved me toward the trench, his strength overwhelming, but he underestimated me. Fight. Now. I gripped the canister, aimed, and sprayed. The mist hit his face, and he screamed, clawing at his eyes. Run. I pushed him, and he stumbled, falling. Into the trench with a sickening thud. His whimpers echoed from the darkness, but I didn't look back. I ran to the house, my breath ragged, the night closing in. Barb saw me first, her face paling. She knows. I grabbed the phone, dialing 911, my voice shaking as I spilled the truth. Barb and Victor exchanged a glance, their masks crumbling. Time to face the music, Barb said, her voice resigned. They sat hand in hand, awaiting their fate. They let him kill. I found Gemma on the porch, her eyes hollow. Thank you, I whispered, clutching the keys. She nodded, her voice barely audible. I tried to stop him so many times, I failed. Until you. She told me of a brother who'd always been wrong, a psychopath enabled by parents too weak to act. She lived in hell. The police came, their light slicing the night. Troy was pulled from the trench, alive but broken. He can't hurt you now. But the house's warmth was gone, its beauty a lie. I left that night, Gemma's story echoing in my mind. You survived, but you'll never forget. My life, once defined by loneliness, felt lighter. You're not alone anymore. Yet as I drove away, the well house's shadow lingered, a reminder that trust can be a blade and family a cage. The rain didn't just fall. It clawed at my windshield, each drop a scream in the endless night, as if the sky itself was warning me to turn back. I was a nurse, used to long shifts and tired bones. But that night, driving home on a deserted back road, I felt something else. A weight in my chest, like the air was too thick to breathe. The hospital had kept me late, an emergency that stretched past 11 p.m., and now I was alone, my headlights carving a fragile path through the storm. The forest loomed on either side, its trees twisted into shapes that seemed to move when I wasn't looking. Keep driving, don't stop. But then I hit something, a jolt that shook the car and my nerves. A rock, I told myself, but my rearview mirror caught a glint. Two glowing eyes watching me from the dark. You imagined it. My hands tightened on the wheel, my pulse a drumbeat in my ears. The road stretched on, empty and unforgiving, the wipers struggling against the deluge. I tried to focus, to shake the unease creeping up my spine, but the night felt alive, its shadows pressing against the car. You're just tired. Then I saw it. A pair of headlights piercing the gloom ahead, unmoving, like a predator lying in wait. A car, its hood crumpled, sat abandoned on the shoulder. Someone's in trouble. My training kicked in, the part of me that couldn't ignore a cry for help. I slowed, my headlights illuminating the wreck. No skid marks, no debris, just a car that didn't belong here. Something's wrong. I should have kept driving, but the thought of leaving someone hurt gnawed at me. What if they need you? I pulled over, the gravel crunching under my tires, and cut the engine. The rain roared, swallowing all other sounds. I grabbed my keys, my breath shallow, and stepped into the storm. The cold bit into my skin, water soaking through my scrubs in seconds. Just check and go. I approached the car, shielding my eyes from the rain, and saw a figure emerge. A man, young, his face half hidden in the shadows of his hood. "Thank God you stopped," he said, his voice low, almost lost in the storm. "My phone's dead, and I've been stuck here forever." His words were polite, but his eyes were wrong, too sharp, too hungry. "Don't trust him." "Are you hurt?" I asked, my voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. "Just whiplash," he said, gesturing to the car. I glanced at the wreck again, the damage too neat, too staged. This isn't right. "I'll grab my phone," I said, turning back to my car, my heart pounding. "Get out now." I barely took a step when I felt it, a cold shadow at my back, a presence that made my skin crawl. "Move faster." Before I could react, pain exploded in my skull, a sickening crack that sent me to my knees. The world spun, the rain mixing with blood in my eyes. "He hit you," I gasped, crawling across the asphalt, my nails scraping the ground. His footsteps splashed behind me, deliberate, unhurried. "He's going to kill you." My body screamed to give up, but I clawed forward, my vision blurring. "Get to the car." A hand grabbed my ankle, yanking me back. I screamed, the sound lost in the storm, and kicked wildly, my heel connecting with something solid. He grunted, his grip loosening, and I scrambled to my feet, running blind into the forest. Branches tore at my face, my clothes, my skin. But I didn't stop. "Keep running, don't look back." The trees closed in, their shadows swallowing me whole. My lungs burned, my legs trembled, but his footsteps echoed behind me, relentless. He's still there. I stumbled, the ground giving way beneath me, and I fell tumbling down a ditch I hadn't seen. My body slammed against roots and rocks, each impact a new kind of pain, until I hit the bottom, my head striking something hard. A rock. A log. The world went dark, my last thought a desperate plea. "Don't let me die here." I woke to silence, the rain gone, the forest still. My head throbbed, blood caking my hair, sticky and warm. How long was I out? The ditch was shallow, its walls slick with mud. I sat up, nausea rolling through me, and pressed a hand to my wound. He's gone. Or is he? The trees stood like sentinels, their branches clawing at the sky. I climbed out, my body protesting every move, and picked my way through the underbrush, my breath ragged. Find the road. The forest was too quiet, as if holding its breath, waiting for me to make a mistake. He could be anywhere. I pushed forward, my scrubs torn, my shoes heavy with mud, until I saw it. My car, alone on the road, its headlights dim. Relief flooded me, but it was fragile, ready to shatter. "Get inside. Lock the doors." I fumbled for my keys, my hands shaking, and slid into the driver's seat, slamming the door. The locks clicked, a small comfort in the chaos. My phone was still on the passenger seat, its screen glowing like a beacon. Call for help. I dialed 911, my voice trembling as I explained. Been an attack, a chase. The operator's calm voice anchored me, but my eyes darted to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see him. "He's gone. You're safe." But was I? The road stretched into darkness, a reminder of how close I'd come to never leaving it. I drove to the nearest town, my hands gripping the wheel, every shadow a threat. The police took my statement, their questions a blur. They found no trace of him, no car, no evidence, just my blood on the road. He planned this. I saw it in my mind, a story my mentor once told about a nurse who stopped for a stranger and never came home. You almost became her. That night changed me. I used to believe in helping, in kindness, but now I see the truth. Some people are monsters, hiding in plain sight. I don't drive back roads anymore. I don't stop for anyone. And at night, when the rain falls, I hear his footsteps chasing me still. The rain fell like a curtain of knives, slicing through the night, as if the sky itself wanted me dead. My car sputtered to a halt on a desolate road, the dashboard lights flickering out, leaving me in darkness. Feel that sinking dread, the kind that chokes your breath when you're utterly alone. The storm roared, a relentless beast pounding the roof with fists of water. I was miles from home, stranded between nowhere and despair. You know that moment, don't you? When the world turns against you. I cursed my luck, my hands trembling as I gripped the steering wheel, the futility gnawing at me. The nearest refuge was a Walmart, a minute's drive but an eternity on foot. Push forward, my mind urged. I stepped into the deluge, the cold soaking my bones, and began shoving my manual car, its wheels grinding against the asphalt. Each step was a battle, the rain blinding me, the wind mocking my effort. The parking lot's lights glowed faintly, a false promise of safety, as I collapsed against the car, gasping, the storm's laughter echoing in my ears. The Walmart lot was a ghost town, its neon lights flickering like dying stars. I stood by my car, drenched and shivering, when a voice cut through the storm. "Hey, you good?" His words were a lifeline, but something in them felt hollow. I turned to see Brandon, tall and lanky, his pale skin glowing under the rain-slicked street lamp. His blue and white shirt hung loose, his boots squelching in puddles. "You see it, don't you? That smile too sharp, those eyes too keen." I nodded, wary, but exhaustion dulled my caution. "Luis," I said, offering my name. He clapped, delighted, claiming my name was exotic, spinning a tale about his own friendships. Listen to him, my tired mind urged, craving rescue. He asked about my car, my plans, each question probing deeper, his charm disarming me. His eyes never left mine, like a predator sizing its prey. When I mentioned the tow truck, he offered a ride home, his voice smooth as silk. "Take the chance," he seemed to say, and against my better judgment I agreed, the storm's howl drowning out the warning in my gut. Brandon's car was a world apart from mine, its engine purring like a contented beast. I sank into the seat, the warmth easing my chilled bones, but a shadow lingered in my chest. "Trust him," my desperation whispered, but his casual chatter felt rehearsed, each word a step in a dance I didn't know. "You feel it, don't you? That crack in the facade." The rain battered the windshield, blurring the world outside, and then it happened. Brandon took a wrong turn. My heart lurched, the air growing thick with dread. "You missed the road," I said, my voice tight. "I know," he replied, his tone flat, his eyes fixed ahead. The truth hit like lightning. This was no mistake. I grabbed the door handle, but it wouldn't budge, the lock a silent cage. Panic clawed at me, my fingers cold as ice. "Open the door," I shouted, but Brandon's smile twisted, his hand revealing a knife, its blade glinting in the dashboard's glow. "He's not your savior," my mind screamed as the storm outside mirrored the chaos within. Brandon's laughter was a blade, cutting through my sanity. "I don't work for Walmart," he sneered, the knife grazing my throat. His words were venom, each one a death sentence. "I'm going to enjoy this," he said, his eyes alight with madness. "Run," my mind screamed, but fear paralyzed me, my vision dimming. "You're not dead yet," my instincts roared. I fumbled through the glove compartment, the knife's edge biting my skin, and found the central lock button. The doors clicked. A fleeting chance. Brandon sensed it, his grip tightening, but I acted first, flinging the door open and leaping from the moving car. The world spun, asphalt tearing my skin, but I was free. I ran, the storm swallowing my footsteps, my lungs burning as I vanished into the dark. "He's behind you," I felt. But I didn't look back, my legs carrying me until the world faded to black. When my eyes opened, I was in a hospital bed. The storm's roar replaced by sterile silence. A nurse told me a stranger found me, delirious, babbling about a killer. "You survived," my mind whispered, but the weight of that night clung to me. The police traced Brandon's plates, uncovering a trail of missing people last seen at that Walmart, their fates sealed by his blade. He was a monster, and I was his almost victim. They arrested him, but his motives remained a void, a puzzle no one could solve. Years later, that parking lot still haunts me, its lights flickering in my nightmares. Some encounters leave scars deeper than flesh, and Brandon's shadow follows me, a reminder of the night I danced with death. The fluorescent lights of Target buzzed like a swarm of angry bees, their harsh glare turning the store into a battlefield. In November, I stood at the edge of chaos, a temporary worker hired for the holiday rush, my life unraveling. My husband, Dan, had gambled away our savings, leaving us drowning in debt. "Keep moving. Save your family." The confession had shattered my trust, his guilty eyes haunting me as I took this job to pay the bills. Black Friday loomed, a storm of greed and desperation, and I was terrified. What if you fail? The store's air was thick with the scent of plastic and cheap perfume, the aisles packed with displays that screamed discounts. I felt like a stranger in a fever dream, lost in a world that didn't care. Debbie, a veteran employee with a warm smile, became my anchor. She found me trembling by the registers, my hands fumbling with price tags. "It won't be as bad as you think," she said, her voice steady, like a lighthouse in fog. She'd worked here for a decade, seen the worst of Black Friday, and swore our small-town store was safe from the urban stampedes. Trust her. She knows. She told me the craziest customers were banned, their faces plastered on a staff room wall. "You're safe here." Her confidence soothed me, but as I glanced at the crowd gathering outside, their shadows pressing against the glass, a chill settled in my bones. Why does it feel like they're watching you? The morning of Black Friday, the store was a hive. Employees rushed to set up displays, their voices tight with anticipation. I clocked in at 7, my heart racing as the line outside swelled, a restless beast. Debbie caught my eye, her calm unshaken. "Take the trash out," she suggested, nodding toward the back. "Clear your head before it gets wild." I nodded, grateful for the escape. The autumn-themed decorations, pumpkins, leaves, were stuffed into heavy bags, their colors faded, like relics of a forgotten season. "Just do your job, don't think." The dumpsters waited by the back door, the alley beyond cold and gray. But as I stepped outside, bags dragging behind me, a woman was there, her presence jarring like a figure from a dream. She was slight, her coat too big, her eyes sharp under a knit cap. "You Debbie's friend?" Her voice was low, urgent. I froze, the bags heavy in my arms. How does she know Debbie? I nodded, uncertain, and she stepped closer, her breath visible in the chilly air. "Let me in. I'm her sister." She explained Debbie always let her in early on Black Friday, a tradition for grabbing the best deals. Don't trust her. Something's off. But Debbie's kindness echoed in my mind. She'd trusted me with this task. You can't let her down. Against my instincts, I opened the door, letting her slip inside. You've made a mistake." As I tossed the bags into the dumpster, the door locked behind me, the sound sharp, final. "She tricked you," panic surged, a cold wave. "Get back inside." I pounded on the door, shouting, but through the small window I saw her glance back, her smile cruel, mocking. "She's not Debbie's sister. My keys were useless. Only the front door key was in my pocket, and the mob there would crush me. Call Debbie, now." I dialed, my fingers shaking. She answered, her voice calm at first. "I got locked out," I said, trying to hide my fear. "Did you let anyone inside?" Her tone shifted, sharp, urgent. I confessed, and her scream cut through. The line, "She's not my sister." A loud noise followed, then silence. "What have you done?" I stood frozen, the alley's cold seeping into me. The door opened and the woman stepped out, her smile gone, her eyes empty. "All done, thanks." She walked away, vanishing into the shadows. "Go inside. Face it." I entered, the store's noise hitting me, shouts, chaos. Then I saw her, Debbie, crumpled on the floor, blood pooling beneath her, her eyes dimming. "Why did you let her in?" Her voice was a whisper, her last words. "You killed her." My knees buckled, tears burning my eyes. "This isn't real. Wake up." A policeman led me to the staff room, his face grim. I couldn't stop crying, the weight of my mistake crushing me. He pointed to a wall of photos, banned customers, their faces cold, accusing. "There she is." The woman's image stared down, a warning inked below. "Extremely dangerous. Call police immediately." You ignored the signs. My boss entered, her eyes red, and told me to leave. The store closed the first time it missed Black Friday. You destroyed everything. I walked out, the crowd's roar fading, the world a blur. You trusted the wrong person. At home, Dan's guilt seemed small, a flicker compared to the inferno of my regret. You can't undo this. I'd heard stories of Black Friday chaos, of shoppers turned monsters, but never of someone like her, a predator hiding in plain sight. She's still out there. I checked the locks every night, the woman's smile haunting my dreams, mixed with Debbie's dying words. Be careful who you trust. The cost of my mistake wasn't just a job, it was a life and a piece of my soul I'll never reclaim. The walls of my apartment seemed to breathe at night, their shadows curling like fingers, whispering my name in a language I couldn't understand. I was a ghost in this city, a stranger adrift in its neon maze, far from the small town where life made sense. My name doesn't matter. What matters is the darkness that found me. I'd moved here for work, trading friends and family for a cubicle and solitude. Video games were my escape, their pixelated worlds a refuge from the emptiness. Then I met Emily. Her laugh was sunlight, her eyes a spark that lit up my world. We met at a friend's party, and soon every moment was hers. Walks in the park, late-night talks, her hand in mine. She's your anchor, hold on. But when she left to backpack through Asia, the light went with her and the shadows crept in. The loneliness was a weight, pressing down until I could barely breathe. You're alone now. My apartment, once warm with Emily's presence, turned cold, its corners sharp with silence. I played games, but the joy was gone. The screen a mockery of connection. That's when I heard it. A faint murmur in the dark, like voices just beyond my reach. It's nothing. I told myself it was the city, the hum of life outside. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent, slithering through the walls at night. Listen, they're calling you. I'd wake to find shadows moving, shapes that vanished when I turned on the light. My heart would race, the air thick with a presence I couldn't name. You're losing it. I tried to ignore it, but the city felt colder, its streets a labyrinth. Closing in, one night the whispers became unbearable, a chorus of voices clawing at my mind. Get out, clear your head. I fled to the streets, the city's pulse a temporary shield. My feet carried me to a rundown bar at the edge of town, its neon sign flickering like a dying star. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and regret. The patrons hunched over their drinks like ghosts. I slid into a corner booth, my hands trembling as I ordered a whiskey. You're safe here. The bartender, a grizzled man with eyes that saw too much, leaned against the counter. Rough night? He asked, his voice a low rumble. I nodded, the weight of the whisper still heavy. You look like you've seen something you shouldn't, he said, studying me. He knows. I hesitated, then spilled it all. The whispers, the shadows, the feeling of being watched. He didn't laugh. Some things latch onto you when you're weak, he said, his words a warning. Listen to him. He told me to come back the next night promising help. Trust him. You have no choice. I left, the city's shadows trailing me. The whispers were louder that night, a cacophony that kept me awake, clutching a kitchen knife in the dark. They're here. Dawn brought silence, but it was fragile, a pause before the storm. I returned to the bar, my nerves frayed, and the bartender was waiting. He slid a small worn book across the counter, its pages brittle, covered in strange symbols. This might help, he said, his voice grave. But be careful, these things turn on you. Take it, it's your only chance. I clutched the book, its weight a promise and a threat, and hurried home, the city's eyes on my back. The book was a nightmare in ink, its rituals promising to banish spirits but demanding a price. Can do this. I chose one that seemed simple. Candles, salt, a mirror. Set it up, don't hesitate. I arranged everything in my living room, the candles casting flickering shadows, the salt a brittle circle on the floor. The mirror reflected, my face pale and hollow, a stranger staring back. Begin. I chanted the words, my voice shaking, the air growing colder with each syllable. The whispers swelled, no longer distant but all around me, a storm of voices in a language of dread. Keep. Bring. The shadows in the room twisted, alive, their edges sharp as knives. In the mirror I saw it. A figure, dark and warped, its eyes burning with malice. It's here. My heart pounded, fear choking me, but I couldn't stop. Finish it. The figure lunged, a searing pain tearing through my chest as if it had clawed my soul. I fell, blood staining the floor, my vision fading. You're dying. But I crawled to the mirror, my fingers slick with sweat, and forced out the final words. A blinding light erupted, the whispers silenced, the figure gone. You did it. I collapsed, gasping, alive but broken. The room was still, the candles burned out, the mirror empty. It's over. In the days that followed, the shadows retreated, the city less oppressive. Emily's messages from Asia were a lifeline, her words pulling me back. She's coming home. When Emily returned, I told her everything. She'll believe you. Her eyes widened, but she held me, her warmth a shield against the dark. We moved to a new apartment, one filled with light and laughter. The whispers faded, a distant memory, but I never forgot. They're gone, but are they? I started gaming again, reconnecting with friends, rebuilding my life. The city became a place of possibility, not a maze. You're free. But sometimes in the quiet of night I feel it. A faint murmur, a shadow in the corner of my eye, reminding me that darkness is never truly gone. The city was a labyrinth of neon and shadows, swallowing me whole, leaving only echoes of who I used to be. I'd moved here for work, trading the warmth of my small town for concrete canyons and strangers' faces. Feel that ache? The kind that gnaws at your soul when you're surrounded yet utterly alone. My apartment was a tomb, its silence suffocating, broken only by the hum of video games that no longer brought joy. You know that emptiness, don't you? When life becomes a gray blur. Then I met Emily at a friend's party, her laughter a spark, the dark. Her eyes danced with life, her spirit pulling me from my isolation like a lifeline. Hold on to that light, my heart urged, as we became inseparable, our days filled with stolen moments and promises. She was my world, a beacon in the city's cold maze. But even her warmth couldn't erase the chill that lingered, a whisper of something watching from beyond. When Emily left for her backpacking trip across Asia, the city grew darker, its streets twisting into a prison. Her absence was a wound, each day stretching into eternity. You feel it, don't you? That void when love slips away. I tried to fill the silence with games, but they were hollow, their colors faded. Listen closely, my mind whispered as the nights grew restless. It started softly, a murmur in the corners of my apartment like voices just beyond reach. They're not real, I told myself, blaming stress, but the whispers persisted, weaving through the dark. Shadows flickered at the edge of my vision, vanishing. When I turned, something's here, my instincts warned, a presence that thickened the air, wrapping me in dread. The city's pulse seemed to slow, each night a descent into a dream where reality frayed, and the whispers grew louder, calling me deeper. The whispers drove me from my apartment, their voices a siren pulling me into the night. I wandered the city's empty streets, the neon signs casting ghostly reflections on wet pavement. You can't hide, my fear whispered, as a presence trailed me, its weight pressing against my back. I found refuge in a rundown bar, its dim lights and stale air a fragile shield. Stay here, my instincts urged, as I ordered a drink, my hands trembling. The bartender, a gruff man with knowing eyes, studied me. Rough night? He asked, his voice cutting through the haze. He sees it, I thought, my fear laid bare. Maybe I've seen a ghost, I muttered, half joking, but his nod was solemn. You're not alone, his gaze seemed to say, as the bar, filled with voices, the whispers faded. But when I left, the presence returned, its shadow clinging to me, a hunter in the dark. Desperation brought me back to the bar, the whispers now a cacophony in my skull. The bartender was waiting, his eyes heavy with secrets. You're ready, he seemed to say, handing me a worn book, its pages brittle with age. Be careful, he warned. These rituals can turn on you. Hold it tight, my hope urged, as I clutched the book, its weight a promise of salvation. Back home, I set up the ritual, candles flickering, salt scattered, a mirror reflecting my haunted face. Begin now, my resolve commanded. I chanted the book's strange words, each syllable pulling me deeper into a trance. The air grew cold, the shadows alive. The whispers swelled, a chorus of rage, and in the mirror, a figure emerged, dark, twisted, its eyes voids of malice. It's here, my fear screamed as it lunged, pain searing my chest. Finish it, I gasped, dragging myself to the mirror, blood staining the floor, and completed the incantation. A blinding light erupted, then silence. The whispers were gone. I lay on the floor, my chest heaving, the mirror empty, the shadows retreated. You're free, my soul whispered, but the scars of that night lingered, a wound no time could heal. You survived, my mind echoed as I pieced my life back together. Emily's messages from Asia became my anchor, her words a thread pulling me from the abyss. Hold on to her, my heart urged, as I found joy in games again, reconnecting with old friends. When Emily returned, I told her everything, her eyes wide but trusting. She believes you, I realized, as we moved to a new apartment, its light banishing the dark. Years later, the whispers are a faint memory, but the city still watches. Some fears never leave, but with Emily, I found a life beyond the void. The air in my father's house was thick with the scent of old wood and silence, a tomb for a man who'd lived like a ghost. When my father died, I, Max, felt no tears, only a strange relief. His life had been a shadow, quiet, solitary, locked. Away in this small house he'd built with my mother before she passed. Step inside, Max. Face his world. He'd been a man of hard work, building a company with his best friend that thrived for decades, only to abandon it 15 years ago without a word. Why did he hide? As I stood in his living room, the dim light filtering through dusty curtains, a chill settled over me. The house wasn't just empty, it was waiting, holding secrets I wasn't sure I wanted to find. My father's life had been a puzzle, his silence a wall I'd never breached. He'd sit for hours, staring at nothing, his lips moving as if whispering, "To ghosts, what haunted you?" His eyes, distant and hollow, seemed to see beyond the world, his face twisting in moments of private torment. I'd always wondered if he suffered more than he let on, but he'd never shared, and I'd stopped asking. Now, with his body gone, the house felt alive, its creaking floors and shadowed corners whispering truths he'd buried. Don't look too closely, Max. Some doors stay locked for a reason. I wandered through the house, my footsteps echoing in the stillness. His bedroom was orderly, clothes folded with precision, books aligned on shelves. He lived like a monk, but something caught my eye. A small antique box on his dresser, its brass surface etched with faded patterns, a combination lock glinting under the lamp. What's inside? I'd never seen it before, and its presence felt wrong, like a relic from another life. My fingers traced the lock, and I entered his birth year, 1965. The mechanism yielded, revealing photos of a younger father, his smile bright, a stranger to the man I knew. Letters, postcards, and trinkets filled the box, fragments of a past he'd hidden. Why keep this secret? I closed it, my heart heavy, and decided to sell it. It's just a box, Max. Let it go. The money would cover his funeral, a practical choice, or so I thought. The funeral was a quiet affair, neighbors and distant relatives murmuring condolences. You're free now, Max. But freedom felt like a lie. I'd heard rumors about my father's company, whispered tales of deals gone wrong, partners betrayed. Just gossip, I'd told myself, but the box's contents gnawed at me. Had he left it for me to find? Don't dwell, Max. Move on. Then he appeared. My father's best friend, a man I hadn't seen in years, his face lined with age, his eyes cold, calculating. He pulled me aside, his voice low, urgent. There's a box, Max. Your father and I shared it. It's in this house and I need it. His words were a spark, igniting my unease. What's so important? I played dumb, my stomach twisting. What box? His composure cracked, his gaze sharpening. If that box leaves this house, my life's work is over. I'll go to prison. Prison? The word hung heavy, a threat I didn't understand. Don't let him in, Max. I refused to let him search, my voice firm despite the fear creeping up my spine. Have some respect. Leave. His face darkened, and then I saw it. A gun, its barrel gleaming in the dim light. He's going to kill. Goo! My blood froze, my breath catching as he stepped closer, the weapon steady in his hand. Tell me where it is, Max, or I put a bullet in you. His voice was a growl, his eyes wild, like a man unhinged. Time slowed, the room shrinking to the space between us. Run, Max. Save yourself. I lunged, desperate, as he pulled the trigger. The shot was deafening, a roar that shattered the air, but it missed, the bullet burying itself in the wall. He's not in control. The noise drew shouts from the mourners, footsteps pounding toward us. He cursed, scrambling for the gun, but the moment was lost. Get out, Max. I ran, my heart pounding, the house a maze of shadows. I stumbled into a room, checking for wounds, my hands shaking. You're alive. But for how long? The police arrived, but he was gone, vanished into the chaos. I realized the box was no longer mine. I'd sold it on eBay, its secrets now in a stranger's hands. What was inside? The man's threat echoed, a promise of pursuit. He'll find you, Max. I couldn't stay. I packed a bag, leaving the house behind, its silence a warning. Run far, Max. Don't look back. The box's brass glint haunts my dreams, mixed with my father's distant stare. What did you do, Dad? I check over my shoulder, the man's cold eyes a shadow I can't shake. You're not safe, Max. Not until the secret is buried. The air in apartment 4B was too still, as if the walls were holding a secret, waiting for me to stumble into its trap. I thought I'd finally found my footing in the city, a decent place, rent I could afford, and a roommate to split the bills. Lena seemed fine at first, quiet, almost invisible. Her hospital shifts keeping her out most days. But from the moment I moved in, something felt off. Like the air was too heavy, the shadows too sharp. This is your new home. Make it work. I ignored the unease, chalking it up to new place jitters, but that first night, I heard it. A crash, outside the door, loud enough to jolt me from the couch. I rushed to open it, my heart racing, and found Lena sprawled on the floor, groceries scattered like a crime scene. She's just clumsy. I slipped again, she said, her voice small, her eyes avoiding mine, but there was something in her tone, a crack that hinted at something darker. Lena's accidents weren't normal. They're not accidents. She dropped plates, their shards littering the kitchen like broken promises. She'd trip over the same, coffee table daily, her curses soft but constant. Once she spilled boiling water on her hand, the skin blistering as she stared at it, unblinking. What's wrong with her? I tried to brush it off to see her as quirky, but each incident chipped away at my calm. Stay out of it. Then came the fire. I woke to the smell of smoke, acrid and choking, my eyes burning as I stumbled into the kitchen. Flames licked the stove, small but hungry, clawing at the air. Put it out. Now. I grabbed a towel, smothering the fire, my hands shaking as the reality sank in. This could have killed us. Lena stood in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide, with fear. I forgot to turn it off, she said, her voice barely audible. Forgot? I snapped at her, anger flaring, but her quiet sobs later that night twisted my guilt. She's not okay. Weeks later, my laptop vanished. It was here. I'd locked the door. I was sure of it. But the apartment was untouched. No broken windows, no signs of a break-in. Lena left it open. I confronted her, my voice sharp, demanding she replace it. I didn't leave, she insisted, collapsing onto the couch, her hands trembling. It's not me, it's the curse. Curse. The word hung between us, absurd, yet heavy. She looked at me, her eyes hollow, and told me her family's secret. A curse passed down through generations, ruining everything they touched. My grandmother had it, my mother had it, now it's mine, she said, her voice cracking. People around me get hurt. She's delusional. I didn't believe in curses, but her fear was real, a living thing that clung to the air. Don't let it get to you. For a few days, I dismissed it, clinging to logic. It's just bad luck. But then my life unraveled. My car, always reliable, broke down 3 times in a week, each repair draining my savings. A light bulb exploded as I flipped. The switch, glass cutting my hand, the pain sharp and sudden. It's nothing. But when the towel rack fell, striking my head, leaving a bruise that throbbed for days, I couldn't ignore it. Something's wrong. Each incident felt deliberate, as if the world was turning against me. It's her. It's the curse. I started, watching Lena, her every move a potential threat. Stay away from her. But the apartment was small, its walls closing in, trapping me with her and whatever followed her. Then came the whispers. They're here. I woke one night to a soft murmur, like voices speaking just out of reach. It's Lena. But she was asleep, her door closed. The whispers came from everywhere, behind the walls, under the floor, inside my head. Listen. I lay, still, my heart pounding, trying to decipher them. But they slipped away, a language of dread. Turn on the light. I reached for the lamp, but it flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Look. In the corner, a shadow moved, darker than the night, its edges pulsing like a heartbeat. It's watching you. I scrambled out of bed, my breath shallow, backing toward the door. The shadow shifted closer, its presence a weight on my chest. Run! I bolted to the living room, slamming the door, my hands shaking as I turned on every light. Lena was pacing when I found her, her face ashen. You saw it, didn't you? She said, her voice low. The shadow, it's the curse. She's right. I wanted to deny it, to cling to reason, but the whispers, the shadow, the accidents, they were real. It's getting stronger, she said. I tried running, but it always finds me. It'll find you too. No, get out. I couldn't stay. Couldn't let her curse consume me. Pack your bags. I told Lena I was leaving, my voice firm despite the fear. She didn't argue, her eyes sad as if she'd seen this before. She knows you're doomed. As I turned to go, she grabbed my arm, her grip cold. It won't stop, she said. It'll follow you. She's lying. I pulled away, running out the door, the apartment's shadows chasing me. I thought leaving 4B would free me, but the air outside was heavier, the city's lights dimmer. It's still here. As I walked, a cold presence trailed me, a shadow just out of sight. Look back, I didn't, but I felt it closer with every step. You can't escape. A story my aunt once told me surfaced. A cousin who lived with a strange roommate and never felt safe again, even after moving. You're her now. The curse wasn't Lena's alone. It had claimed me. Its whispers a promise of more to come. Run. But it's too late. I don't know how long I have before it catches me, but every shadow, every sound feels like it's waiting, ready to pull me back into the dark. The glow of my laptop cast jagged shadows across the apartment, but it was Toby's eyes that held me captive. Wide, unblinking, staring into nothing. I'd always loved my cat, Toby. His playful pounces and soft purrs a comfort in my lonely life. But that night something was wrong. Look closer, see what he sees. His gaze fixed on a corner of the room, where the wall met the ceiling, a spot empty but heavy with an unseen presence. I laughed, calling him my spooky companion, but the sound died in my throat. Why is he so still? The apartment, a cramped box in a city of strangers, felt smaller, its air thick with the scent of dust and something sour, like fear trapped in the walls. You're imagining it. Stop. I'd moved here for work, leaving behind friends and family, trading connection for deadlines. Toby was my anchor, his warmth a shield against the isolation. He's just a cat. Cats do strange things. But his stares grew frequent, his low, guttural meows slicing through the silence. I'd feed him, thinking hunger drove his oddity, but the bowls sat untouched, his eyes still locked on invisible threats. "What do you see, Toby?" At night I'd wake to a weight on my chest, not Toby's familiar curl, but a cold, pressing dread. He'd perch at the foot of my bed, staring just past me, as if someone stood there watching. "Don't turn around. Stay still." My heart pounded, the darkness alive with possibilities I didn't want to name. Sleep brought no escape. My dreams were vivid, the apartment twisted into a maze of wrong angles, its furniture familiar but off, the air heavy with loss. You're alone here, always alone. Shadows moved in the corners, their forms dissolving when I looked. It's just a dream. But the dread lingered, a stain on my waking hours. I'd heard whispers about this building, tales swapped by neighbors in the laundry room. A tenant who'd left suddenly, their belongings abandoned, their eyes hollow. Just stories, I told myself, but Toby's behavior made them real. He knows, something you don't. Days bled into weeks and Toby's actions grew darker. He'd pace the apartment, his tail low, his eyes darting to corners, doorways, the space beneath the couch. He's hunting something. One night, as I nursed a beer, he froze, his body tense, and let out a growl, a deep primal sound that didn't belong to a house cat. "What's there?" He stared at the hallway, its shadows pooling like ink, and my skin prickled, every nerve. "Screaming danger. It's just a hallway. You've walked it 1,000 times. I stood, my legs unsteady, and approached, the apartment's silence deafening. I flipped the light switch, revealing nothing but bare walls. "See? You're safe." But Toby darted under the bed, his growls echoing, and I felt it. A presence cold and heavy just out of sight. I was unraveling. "You're losing it." Work became impossible, my focus shattered by sleepless nights and Toby's endless vigilance. I snapped at friends, ignored calls, locked myself in this cage of fear. It's the apartment. It's haunted. I researched spirits, demons, anything to explain the unseen weight. I burned sage, its smoke curling through the rooms, but Toby's pacing only worsened. His eyes wilder, his growls louder. "You made it angry." I stopped leaving the apartment, terrified of what might follow me, or what I'd leave Toby to face, alone. He's all you have. Protect him. My resentment grew, a bitter seed. It's not his fault, I told myself. But Toby's stares, his growls, became a mirror of my fracturing mind. "He's making you crazy." One night, I snapped, slamming my glass down, shouting, "Enough!" Toby froze, his eyes wide with fear, and guilt flooded me. "You're scaring him." I sank to the floor, tears burning my eyes, the apartment closing in. "You can't do this anymore." That night, Toby's growl woke me, louder, fiercer. He stood at the bed's edge, his gaze locked not on the room but on me, or something beside me. "Don't look, don't move." My breath caught, the air icy, and then I heard it. A whisper, soft, unintelligible, like a voice from another world. "It's here." I bolted upright, my heart a drumbeat of panic. The room was dark, the lamp flickering, then dying. "Stay calm." A shadow moved in the corner, darker than the night, its edges shifting, watching. "It's not real." I grabbed Toby, his body trembling, and ran to the living room, crashing onto the couch. "You're safe now, are you?" I held him tight, the whispers fading, but the fear clung, a second skin. "You need help." The next morning I called a friend, spilling everything, my fear, Toby's behavior, the shadows. She listened, her voice steady. "Maybe it's not the apartment, maybe it's you." The words hit like a revelation. What if the darkness is inside? I sought therapy, each session peeling back layers of stress, isolation, anger. You're not haunted, you're breaking. The nightmares faded, the whispers silenced. Toby's stare softened, his growls replaced by playful leaps. He was mirroring you. The apartment felt lighter, its shadows just shadows. You're healing, but stay vigilant. I played games again, reconnected with friends, the city less a maze. You're not alone anymore. But sometimes, in the quiet, I feel a chill. See Toby pause, his eyes catching something I can't. Is it gone or waiting? The darkness may have been mine, but its echo lingers, a reminder to guard my mind. The road was a black vein through the night, and something in the darkness called to me, a pull I couldn't resist, as if the shadows knew my name. I was driving home after a grueling day, my eyes heavy, my hands tight on the wheel. The clock blinked 11:37 p.m., each second a weight on my chest. The back road stretched endlessly, flanked by trees that seemed to lean closer, their branches clawing at the sky. Keep going. Don't stop. My headlights sliced through the gloom, the only light in a world swallowed by night. The moon was a sliver, hiding behind clouds, as if it refused to witness what lay ahead. You're alone. The radio hissed static, its signal lost miles back, leaving me with the hum of the engine and my own ragged breath. Then I saw her, a faint outline in the distance, standing still, as if she'd been waiting for me forever. She's not real. My heart skipped, a jolt of recognition I couldn't place. You've seen her before. I slowed, my instincts screaming to keep driving, but her presence was magnetic, a puzzle I needed to solve. Who is she? As my headlights reached her, I saw the sari, its fabric shimmering like liquid moonlight, fluttering in a breeze I couldn't feel. Her silhouette was young, delicate but wrong, too still, too perfect. Don't stop. I pulled over, the gravel crunching like bones under my tires, my breath shallow. The air was thick, heavy with a scent I couldn't name, sweet, floral, like jasmine blooming in a graveyard. Get out. Help her. I rolled down the window, the cold biting my skin. Do you need a ride? I asked, my voice unsteady. She didn't answer at first, her head tilting, her eyes catching the dashboard's glow. They're too deep, dark, endless. They pulled me in, a void I couldn't escape. Look away. Without a word, she glided to the passenger door, her movements fluid, almost mechanical. The door opened and she slid in, the jasmine scent overwhelming, clinging to the air like a curse. She's here. I swallowed, my throat dry. Where are you headed? I asked, trying to break the silence that pressed against my chest. Just drive, she said, her voice soft, melodic, but cold, like a song from a forgotten dream. Obey. I pulled back onto the road, the engine's hum a fragile shield against the growing dread. The night darkened, the trees closing in, their shadows, twisting into shapes that didn't belong. She's watching you. I stole glances at her, her hands folded in her lap, the sari's folds catching the faint light. Her face was beautiful, haunting, with a sadness that seeped into the air. Ask her something. But my tongue felt heavy, my mind clouded, as if her presence dulled my thoughts. Keep driving. The road was empty, no cars, no lights, just an endless ribbon of black. You're trapped. My hands gripped the wheel, my knuckles white, the silence between us a living thing, growing thicker with every... I'll say something. What's your name? I ventured, my voice barely audible. She turned, her eyes locking onto mine, and smiled. A smile that didn't reach her eyes, a promise of something terrible. Don't ask again. The air in the car grew colder, my breath visible, the jasmine scent now sickly sweet. Something's Wrong. My eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, a reflex, and my heart stopped. She's not there. The passenger seat was empty in the reflection, a void where she should have been. Look again. I did, my pulse pounding, but the mirror showed nothing. Just the road, the dark. She's sitting right there. I glanced at her, her form solid, real, her eyes still on me. She's not human. Sweat beaded on my forehead, my hands trembling. Say something. What's wrong? She asked, her voice cutting through my panic, playful, knowing she sees you. I couldn't speak, my mouth dry, my mind racing. Get out, stop the car. But my body wouldn't move. An invisible force holding me in place, forcing me to drive. You know her. A memory surfaced, unbidden. A story my grandfather told, his voice low, about a woman on this road. A ghost who lured drivers to their doom. It's just a story. But her words shattered that hope. You're wondering why you can't see me in the mirror, aren't you? She said, her tone teasing, cruel. She knows. I nodded, fear choking me. You're not the first to pick me up, she continued, leaning closer, her breath cold against my skin. And you won't be the last. Run. But there was nowhere to go. The road an endless loop, the night a cage. Listen. She spoke of others, drivers who stopped, who vanished. Their fates tied to this road, to her. You're next. My mind flashed with visions. Driving forever, never reaching home, trapped in her nightmare. No. Fight. You can't escape. Her voice was a whisper now, barely audible, but it filled the car, the world. Do you know what happens to those who pick me up? She asked, her eyes burning into mine. Don't answer. They never make it to the next town. They become part of the road, like me. She's death. The realization hit me, a cold wave, my body trembling. Stop the car. I slammed on the brakes, the car skidding, the tires screaming. Get out. But before I could move, she was gone. Where is she? The seat was empty. The jasmine scent lingering, a cruel reminder. She was here. My heart pounded, my breath ragged, as I sat frozen, the road silent, the darkness absolute. Start. The car. Go. I turned the key, the engine roaring to life, and drove, my eyes fixed on the road, refusing to look back. Don't look. The lights of a town appeared, faint but real, a lifeline. You're safe. I pulled into a gas station, my hands shaking as I shut off the engine. Check the mirror. I did, my breath catching, and for a moment I saw her, standing. In the distance, her sari fluttering, her eyes locked on mine. Blink I did, and she was gone. The station empty, the night still. She's gone. But the jasmine scent clung to me, a mark I couldn't shake. She'll come back. I drove on, the road behind me a threat, every shadow her shape. You'll never escape. That night, I learned the truth. Some roads lead to places you can't return from, and some passengers never leave.